laws.
To reduce access to these products by youth, sales are going to be banned from self-service displays, street sales, and mobile vending such as ice cream trucks and food carts.
You can buy a cartridge that contains marijuana and plug that into your e-cigarette. So there's no end to the possibilities of what you can begin inhaling.
So exactly what are e-cigarettes?
These battery-operated devices use heat to vaporize a liquid, producing a vapor which is then inhaled by the smoker. The liquid may contain nicotine. Some even come in fruit and candy flavors.
The liquid in some e-cigarettes contain harmful substances such as formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, diethylene glycol, chromium, and lead, the same chemicals found in traditional cigarettes. These substances could potentially pose serious health risks to users and also risks to non-users.
While some believe e-cigarettes are safer than traditional cigarettes, there is no consensus on their actual effects. LA City Council members have also introduced a motion to regulate the use of electronic smoking devices in areas where smoking tobacco is prohibited. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Some analysts predict e-cigarettes could outsell traditional cigarettes within a decade. And according to a recent study, the use of e-cigarettes among high school students went from 4% to 10% from 2011 to 2012. They were brutally gunned down last summer, and now LAPD detectives need your help to find the person or persons who they say killed an innocent couple. Yana Kay has the details.
Teresa Flores and Alex Lara were shot in cold blood last June, and with no leads in the case, a $75,000 reward is being offered to anyone who has information that will lead to the arrest and conviction of their killer or killers.
It's infuriating and it's tragic, and it's our job to seek justice, and we will do that.
LAPD Detective Walter Teague said that the couple, who have 5 children and who police say were not involved in gang activity, were killed in Pico Union on the morning of Saturday, June 23rd of this year.
These residents and these members of this community deserve to be treated with dignity and with respect, and their families deserve to have peace of mind and know that we, the City of Los Angeles, and all its departments are doing all that we can to bring justice to these communities.
Now, Teresa Flores and Alex Lara had pulled up and parked their car right here on 10th Street in Los Angeles. As they got out of their car, that's when the suspects shot and killed them.
It's very important for us to get this message out and to let people know in that community that the city cares and the city will be responsive.
Officials say if you know anything at all, to give them a call. They add that even the smallest detail that may seem insignificant to you may be just what police need to solve this case. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Anyone with information is asked to call LAPD's 24-hour toll-free number at 1-877-LAPD 24/7. Anyone wishing to remain anonymous can call 1-800-222-TIPS. LA's mayor welcomes the crew of a double-decker super jumbo jetliner to kick off a new service at LAX, nonstop daily flights between Los Angeles and Dubai. Gil Reyes has more on some of the amenities on board.
It is the world's largest passenger jetliner with 489 seats and 14 first-class suites. The massive Airbus A380 jet has also just widened its global reach, with daily non-stop flights between LAX and the United Arab Emirates city of Dubai.
This is actually Emirates' longest Airbus A380 flight, and it's the longest Airbus A380 flight in the world right now.
The 16-hour flight is offered by Emirates Airlines. The inaugural A380 flight from Dubai recently touched down at LAX, where LA's mayor welcomed the possibilities.
If you want to go to the Middle East, you go through Dubai. If you want to go to the Midwest, you come through Los Angeles. So we can think of this as where the Middle East and the Midwest meet each other. But we can also think of those great hubs in the world: London, Dubai, Singapore, and certainly Los Angeles must be on that list as well.
The service launches as LAX continues refurbishing its Tom Bradley terminal. All passengers on board the A380 have access to Wi-Fi, gourmet meals, and 1,500 TV channels. First and business class offers an onboard cocktail lounge, while first class provides 2 in-flight showers for freshening up.
You may have heard we offer a limousine service for our first class and business class passengers. Certainly we offer priority checking. Certainly we offer as well very luxurious lounge spaces.
Price tag for a first-class round-trip ticket, around $26,000 for service that Emirates Airlines says is worth every penny. At LAX, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
You can also purchase economy class tickets for around $1,200 if you book early. LAX is just the second U.S. airport with Emirates A380 service, the first being New York's JFK Airport. Call it a home away from home for some of South LA's pet population. Anna Marcos reports on a new animal shelter annex.
South LA is about to become a little more pet-friendly. Residents and city leaders are celebrating the groundbreaking for the new South LA Animal Shelter Annex.
We'll be able to house animals in an emergency situation. We'll be able to do training. People will be able to interact with the animals one-on-one.
Earlier this year, residents celebrated the opening of the South LA Animal Shelter just down the street. It was a much-needed resource in an area plagued by a high stray dog population. The South LA shelter is the largest in the city, but this extra new annex space will mean even more South LA animals will get served.
It is open to the public. You don't have to get a dog from the shelter to be trained here. No, you can get your own dog and you can bring it here at any time.
The annex became possible because the city saved so much money in the building of 7 animal shelters that it was able to create more projects with the money saved. But it took some legal maneuvering to get here.
It took us a year to get it out of the city attorney's office because we used the word dog park. And we found out that you can't use bond money to build a dog park. So we apologized and said we would never use the word park again. And so that's why it's called an annex.
Whatever you call it, it will be a place that will leave lots of tails wagging. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The annex should be completed sometime in the summer of 2014. Young people on the fast track to new careers recently received a pep talk from one city official who is inspiring them to never give up. Gil Reyes reports.
The program offers free vocational training for young people ages 16 to 24.
And some people that don't have their GED or diploma, they help them to achieve that goal.
Jesus Arevalo recommending the Los Angeles Job Corps program for students like him. Arevalo had dropped out of school because of family problems, but has since returned for skills training through Job Corps in hopes of becoming a dental assistant. LA City Councilman Curran Price stopped by a seminar at the YWCA in downtown to inspire students to achieve their goals.
And he expressed to us that the road he took was not easy.
Price, a native of South LA, worked hard to earn a USC scholarship. Before serving in the LA City Council and in the state legislature, he ran for mayor in the city of Inglewood and lost. Still, he never gave up on his goal of public service. For some students, this speaks volumes.
That means he worked really hard to get there, and he, even though he might have obstacles, he pushed through them to get where he is now.
They get it. They understand that if I want to be a councilman, if I define that as my success, I can do it.
Price would now like more centers like the YWCA and its Job Corps training program in Los Angeles.
We would love to have a facility like this in the 9th District, for example. I think we need to be doing more to support our young people, and programs like this are a step in the right direction.
Los Angeles Job Corps offers free training in over 30 vocational trades. At the YWCA in downtown, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Young people ages 16 to 24 interested in joining Job Corps can call 1-800-733-JOBS. Well, the day before the start of Hanukkah, we took you to City Hall where city leaders helped light the 17th century Katowice menorah. And the day before the end of Hanukkah, city leaders celebrated yet again with the lighting of the City Hall menorah. Cindy San Luis takes us there.
Baruch atah Adonai.
City leaders celebrated Hanukkah, known as the Festival of Lights and Feast of Dedication, at City Hall during a special lighting of the menorah.
It's great to celebrate all the holidays
I think Hanukkah is certainly a holiday with a lot of good messages.
The 8-day Jewish festival commemorates the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem at the time of the Maccabean Revolt, a fight for religious freedom.
When the Maccabees were able to be victorious, they returned to the ancient Jerusalem temple. They cleaned it up, they cleansed it, and the miracle story that happens was that one small cruse of oil was found that lasted for 8 days.
Fried food and donuts are traditionally eaten during the festival, with the oil used to cook them symbolic of the miracle oil of Hanukkah.
A candle is lit each day for 8 days during the festival's observance.
By striking a match and kindling a flame, and we reflect the very best of ourselves to the world and allow the light of the world to shine forth into our homes and into our hearts.
The mayor says the holiday provides a universal message we can all understand.
A message of hope, of tolerance, of, when the odds are down, that you can still make it.
From City Hall, I'm Cindy San Luis for Ellie This Week.
This year, Hanukkah coincided with Thanksgiving, an event that has happened only one other time since the American holiday was officially recognized in the 19th century. The next time a whole entire day of Hanukkah and Thanksgiving will coincide will be in 70,000 years. Your neighborhood could get a lot more colorful with the approval of home murals, a new synthetic soccer field at a local park, and how to spot fake charities taking advantage of the season of giving. These stories and more in City Beat. The Los Angeles City Council has tentatively approved a pilot program to allow murals on single-family homes in the 1st, 9th, and 14th districts. That means single-family homes in Northeast Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, and parts of South Los Angeles will be allowed to display murals on the home's exterior walls. 9th District Councilman Curran Price says for the 9th District, murals not only help to beautify the community, but also aid in deterring graffiti and other criminal activity plaguing private property. The Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center now has a new synthetic sports and soccer field. Councilmember Bernard Parks had nominated the project for a Proposition K grant in 2009 and was instrumental in navigating it through the approval process. The rec center at 3916 Southwestern Avenue now has a new 80-foot by 130-foot synthetic turf field that replaces a worn-out dirt field. Additional amenities include pathways, bleachers, a container for storage of soccer equipment, and new landscaping and irrigation. It is the season of giving, and Councilmember Curran Price recently joined the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank in distributing more than 1,700 turkeys to South LA families. The turkeys were given to local charitable organizations serving South LA.
The 9th District has a network of very effective community-based organizations. And so we rely on them, we work with them, we cooperate, we collaborate with them to help identify individuals who are in need.
Councilman Price's office also gave away more than $1,000 worth of gift cards from local grocery stores to help struggling families this season. And a reminder from the law enforcement community, if you're going to give this holiday season, give wisely. The Charitable Services Section, or CSS, of the Los Angeles Police Commission offers tips on how to distinguish the frauds from worthy charities. If it's a nonprofit soliciting within limits of Los Angeles, you can ask for the required information card issued by the CSS. Evaluate the charity, including but not limited to asking for a financial statement or IRS Form 990. And beware of appeals sent via email or social networking sites. For more on how to give wisely this season, call the Charitable Services Section of the Los Angeles Police Commission at 213-996-1260. We all know that exercise is important to maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and as we age, exercise becomes even that much more important. As Yana Kay shows us, a few simple exercises are what helps some senior citizens stay feeling young.
97-and-a-half-year-old Bertha Lewis is finding her inner zen with this yoga exercise. The session is part of her 5-day-a-week workout routine. She says staying active keeps her young.
Peppy keeps me going.
Bertha is one of about 50 senior citizens who came out for the Festival of Fitness at the Balboa Recreation Center in Encino, hosted in part by the City of LA's Department of Aging.
If you do not exercise, you will lose the ability. You have to keep flexible, and I'm lucky I can, and I still play tennis.
Several health experts and a yoga instructor were on hand to guide the seniors through some exercises and give them healthy eating tips. Councilmember Paul Koretz was there to lend his support to the active seniors.
The goal is to make seniors more aware of the importance of nutrition and exercise and to get them more involved so they'll continue to lead a healthy and long life.
One woman says she enjoys staying active by doing regular exercises she learned when she was a young dancer in junior high school.
I think it has prevented me from having severe arthritis, problems walking, problems bending, problems doing housework. I do all my own housework, my own shopping, I drive.
Health experts say even the simplest form of exercise can have tremendous health benefits. Now, one woman who's here today says she's seen a great improvement in her health thanks to her daily walking routine.
I was taking a tablet for my heart for whatever reason, and when I went back to have another checkup, the doctor says you do not have to take that pill any longer, and I said, oh, it must be because of the walking, and it is.
A few simple steps that can make a world of difference. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
All Point Home Health was the other organizer of the event alongside Department of Aging. It might be the perfect holiday gift for the residents of Tarzana. Rasha Goel has more on a plan that has kids and parents smiling.
These young residents are all smiles as they watch the groundbreaking ceremony for what will be a brand new park. 2 play areas, one for kids 5 and under and another for 5 to 12-year-olds, are replacing the existing playground at the Tarzana Recreation Center.
The kids rely on it, the communities rely on it, the families rely on it, and it's nice to be able to gather on a day like today when we're doing something really positive and improving one of our parks.
Actor Elliot Durant was instrumental in making the improvements a reality.
It's a pet project and it was deep in my heart. The equipment was a bit of the older, antiquated. It's, say, 25, 30 years old. So, as you know, things have changed so much, and the equipment that they have now is so much more accessible for children.
The new playgrounds will have slides, a mini playhouse, swings, various climbing apparatus, and shade canopies.
You create new friends and new chances, not just for the kids, but also for the parents.
The new playgrounds are expected to be completed in January of 2014. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
In this week's list of things to do, signing up for a free basketball camp, a holiday festival at Pershing Square, and the taste of tamales. The city's Department of Recreation and Parks is offering a free winter basketball camp for children ages 7 to 14 in low-income communities who are looking for something fun to do. Register now for the 3-day camp that goes from December 31st to January 2nd. Kids will receive basketball instruction and develop their skills in a well-supervised, healthy environment. The free winter basketball camp will be held at Sylmar Rec Center, located at 13109 Borden Avenue in Sylmar. For more information, call 818-367-5656. And on Saturday, December 14th, head on over to Pershing Square and its Downtown on Ice ice rink, where a free winter holiday festival will be taking place from noon to 6 p.m. Santa will be attending the family event, and kids will be able to enjoy snow brought in from the North Pole, take a train ride, and make arts and crafts. There will, of course, be ice skating at the outdoor rink for a fee. Pershing Square is located at 532 South Olive Street. For more information, go to PershingSquareIceRink.com. And from the icy cold of the skating rink to the spicy goodness of some hot tamales. On Sunday, December 15th, La Placita Overa, or Overa Street, will be hosting the Taste of Tamales from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. A tamale is typically made of masa, which is steamed or boiled in a leaf wrapper and filled with meats, cheeses, fruits, vegetables, chilies, or anything else you can imagine. At the Taste of Tamales, a full variety of this holiday favorite will be offered by a host of food vendors and restaurants in the LA area.
Olvera Street is located at Main Street and Cesar Chavez Avenue across from Union Station. Go to lafoodfestival.com. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do.
The 1982 song Nobody Walks in LA has long been the unofficial motto of Los Angeles, but these days that song is ringing less and less true as Angelinos rediscover their city on foot.
How many people this is their first walk? A good number of people.
With fanny packs secured, water bottles at the ready, and comfortable shoes on their feet, Angelinos slathered on sunscreen and waited by the Lady of the Lake statue at Echo Park Lake for the Great LA Walk 2013 to step off at 9 a.m.
Well, I've lived here a few years, but I've actually never been up to Echo Park, so even just this already, I've seen more than I've seen before.
You meet new people and you see spaces you never see when you drive because we're always trying to pay attention to the road through traffic, so it's great.
It's said that Los Angeles is experiencing a walking revolution, and this year the Great LA Walk took some 300 participants past LA landmarks as well as local neighborhood haunts.
We usually go from downtown to the ocean. This year we're starting at Echo Park Lake just because we're in for a long walk today. We're doing about 18 miles, focusing mostly on Sunset Boulevard, walking Sunset all the way to the end of Beverly Hills, then taking Wilshire the rest of the way to the ocean.
I've been here for 12 years, but I've never walked that far. I've been up and down Sunset, I've driven Sunset, so this will be a nice chance for a new perspective.
This year's walk ended at the Santa Monica statue on Ocean and Wilshire. Folks were free to join in or leave at any point in the walk. This 8-year tradition, the brainchild of Michael Schneider.
We're trying to establish community, get people outdoors, get them to see Los Angeles, and get to know their neighbors.
I've only been in LA for about a week, and I thought that this would be a great way to get out and see the city and maybe meet a few people.
Everyone's always complaining about parking, and that's sometimes why you don't go places. So the chance to just walk by a place, it makes it real easy to stop in, check it out, and keep going.
Mark your calendar for next year's walk. As always, it'll take place the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
While the Great LA Walk website says this year's walk was the second longest route in the walk's history, it was the earliest the bulk of the group made it to the ocean at 4:15 with enough time to enjoy the sun setting over the horizon. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Almost 80% of car theft occurs because of unlocked doors. Locking your doors takes a matter of seconds and can become so routine that you may forget whether you locked your doors or not. But it's worth the effort to double check. The more successful thieves are at taking items out of a car, the more chances they are going to come back to that area. Don't let our town be that area. One simple precaution is to hide or cover any valuable items when leaving your car unattended. Simple actions like these can prevent you from becoming a victim of property theft. The Los Angeles Police Department would like you to remember, lock it or lose it.
Every day, our brave troops and their families stand up for us.
For years, we've asked so much of so few.
Now we have a chance to serve these heroes.
To give time, offer comfort, or lend a hand.
To ease the burden on a military family.
Let's honor their service by volunteering ours.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, December 11th. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. All of the public is welcome. Mr. Clerk, we do not have a quorum at this time, so I'm going to see if Mr. Huizar is ready, because we do have a presentation for today. And if I don't get another member here in a few minutes, I'm sorry, audience, then we will adjourn the meeting. So, Mr. Huizar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. What do you mean adjourn the meeting? You mean you won't have a meeting?
Not enough members show up.
I'll go to the beach. I don't really think you listen to anybody.
Come on over here. You can stand right here. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. And I need my other notes. Okay. Can you get my notes from my desk there? Yeah, there you go. You don't need any.
Mr. Huizar, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I got to say all those good things about you. It's Deyes, right? Not Dallas. Deyes. Okay.
Take your pick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, as we all know, small businesses in this country are truly the lifeblood of our economy. They account.
Shh.
They account.
Let's be quiet.
Me too, Mr. President?
No, not you.
Okay.
But I'm really. Dion Avak. Shh.
Oh, not Avak.
Mr. Huizar.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, as we all know, small businesses in this country are truly the lifeblood of our economy. They account for about half of all our private sector employment. And between 1993 and 2011, 64% of the new jobs produced in this country came from small business firms. At the same time, operating a small business can be incredibly difficult, with no one to come in and save the day like some of our large corporations can do. Small business owners are in many ways left to fend for themselves. I tell you all this because today we are honoring one of those great small businesses, and we are honoring the owners, William and Josephine Tellez, and their small business, the El Sereno Income Tax Company, that has not only served the community of El Sereno in providing a valuable service, but it has done so for over 40 years. And this year we are celebrating 40 years of service to the community and existence and supporting the community as well. If I had known 40 years ago that I could do my income taxes there from my newspaper route, I would have gone there, Mr. Tellez. $27.50 every 2 weeks. How much taxes did I pay on that $27.50? This 30%, right? This is a family-owned business that has withstood the test of time. After William Tellez served honorably in World War II, he and his bride, Josephine, settled in El Sereno in 1951, where together they raised their 3 children, Robert, Linda, and Rod. El Sereno Income Tax first opened its doors in El Sereno 40 years ago on Eastern Avenue, and later moved to their current location on Huntington Drive, the main thoroughfare of the El Sereno community. So think about this. Under 8 presidents, changing fashion, music, and political winds, El Sereno Income Tax has remained steady in their service to the community, preparing individual and small business tax returns for generations of families in the community, including the grandchildren of their original clients, who now come back annually to have their income taxes prepared. The Tellez family and the El Sereno Income Tax are much more than a well-run family business. They are a highly treasured asset in the community, establishing strong, lifelong friendships with their faithful customers. And as you can see, many of them are with us here today. El Sereno Income... He's saying that April's coming soon, don't forget. Some of us do them in October when we get the extension. El Sereno Income Tax also believes in and continues a long-standing family tradition of community service and philanthropy, providing community assistance to our local churches, schools, organizations, and community events for over 40 years in El Sereno. And whenever we honor long-operating, small, family-run businesses like this one, a strong commitment to community service always seems to coincide with a successful business model. The community goes back to them again and again because they are not only providing a great service, they are part of the community and have shown so through their generosity back to the community. So with that, I want to present to the Tellez family, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, a resolution congratulating you for 40 years of service, but also for supporting our community in return. Felicidades, congratulations, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. All right, so you want to say a few words?
Mr. Labange?
Oh, let Mr. Labange say something.
I would just like to say before Mr. Huizar, it's local business that really makes a neighborhood. And as you are so proud of as the great district representative of the 14th, I like El Sereno a lot. I played at from Marshall, we went over to Old Wilson, which wasn't even New Wilson, on Eastern Avenue. And all the people there came out and cheered. And the fabric of the community is the business of the community. And so I just wanted to stand for this man and his family and tell him how special it is. And salute you, Mr. Huizar, for honoring a great local businessman. Congratulations.
The floor is yours, Mr. Huizar.
Well, all I can say is we're really honored with this award. I want to thank the Consul and Councilman Huizar for his support in this, and our tax clients and our friends who have been here, and for their support. Without them, we wouldn't be here. We have such great friends. It's called the IRS, and we're on this side, not on that side. Okay? And I want to say that to thank all of them and all our friends, and God bless you.
Thank you. You want to introduce these two lovely ladies?
Okay, I'd like to introduce you to my wife, Josephine, and to my daughter, that we're going to pass the torch over to her. And my
Let's
daughter
give
Linda.
the two ladies
Okay?
a round of applause. Come on.
I want to first thank all the council members and Councilman User and all the clients that are here, customers, friends, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and I love you all.
So thank you so much, and congratulations again. El Sereno is a very special place. The community stays together, is united. You have generations of families who could talk about their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, and to have a business like this that shows that by the linkages of great-grandchildren who keep going back to do their income taxes there, it's a great community spirit that we have, and small businesses, along with a lot of other organizations, unite this great community. So you could join me in the back if you follow me through here. We're going to go back and take some photos with the Thayas family. Everyone who came for this presentation can come with us. Congratulations again.
Would you, the audience, please be quiet. We will recess for a few minutes, and then we will be back. So at this point in time, the council is in recess.
I just wanted to give a verbal report. I think it's very important in working with the Tournament of Roses and the game that we will have here on the 1st of January with Stanford and Michigan State coming into to Los Angeles. And then a week later on the 6th, the national championship game of Florida State as well as Auburn. We will be working with our Los Angeles Tourist Board. And Kenny, as you know so well, you articulate it with the microphones, the opportunity for people to know, with all our guests, to be able to assist and help them and direct them in many which ways. So I will ask the clerk next week, Alan, if we could find a spot on the agenda to hear from the tourist board on that. as Avak prepares the motion which is necessary for it. So.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Englander?
Yes, I just wanted to share something special that we did this past Thanksgiving through the YMCA in our office. This was actually pretty incredible. We started this 4 years ago, and the idea was that we wanted to feed 50 families in the valley that otherwise wouldn't have Thanksgiving. And we're talking about full Thanksgiving meals. Turkeys, all the fixings, all the vegetables, stuffing, everything. So 4 years ago, we actually fed 50 families in the San Fernando Valley. And then we challenged ourselves and said, okay, we did 50 families. So 3 years ago, a year later, we stepped up and we said, that's not enough. Let's go ahead and feed 500 families. We did 50, let's add a 0. And we did 500 families 3 years ago. So 2 years ago, we upped that. Now I got to finish the story, Mr. President. Sorry. So we upped that from 500 families to 1,500 families 3 years ago. 2 years ago, we went to 2,000 families. This year, we fed in the San Fernando Valley families that otherwise wouldn't have Thanksgiving, 3,000 families. That's families of 4 with full Thanksgiving meals. We had 500 volunteers show up to distribute 3,000 meals to families throughout the San Fernando Valley through Pacoima and Sylmar and Arleta, Granada Hills, Chatsworth, Woodland Hills, Reseda, Van Nuys, throughout the entire San Fernando Valley. And I'm really proud of the YMCA and all the volunteers that came together, and I wanted to share that story. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Englander and Mr. Labange. Thank you very much. We do have a quorum. I want to thank the members for shutting down a very important press conference that they were at and doing their very best to get here as quickly as possible. With that said, Mr. Clerk, we do have a quorum. Could you call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonda, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Corcoran, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson, 11 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Krikorian moves, Martinez seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Huizar moves, Cedillo seconds. Next.
Mr. President, there are requests to receive and file item 1D inasmuch as the lien has been paid, to refer item 22 back to the Arts, Parks, Health, Aging, and River and Budget and Finance Committees, and to continue item 4 to January 10. Again, that's January 10 for item number 4.
Okay, so without objection, where it relates to those items, that'll be the order.
Very good, sir. Items 1 through 6 are items noticed for a public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety notes that the lien amount for item 1M should be reduced to $865.50 due to partial payment by the owner.
Okay, cards on these items?
Yes, sir. We have cards on items 1 and 3.
Okay, let's hold those items. And unless, and I don't see a member in the queue, let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Mr. Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
The next section.
Yes, sir. Items 7 through 29 are items for which public hearings have been held. Communications for items 23, 26, and 27 have been submitted and circulated. I do believe for item number 23 we have a card, so we should hold item 23, sir.
Okay, now we're going through items 7 through 29?
That is correct, sir.
And, okay, so let's hold the item that you suggested. Let's also hold item 8. And let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Okay, now it's my understanding that item 8 has been circulated. So why don't we, Mr. City Attorney, include this, and then we will vote on.
Mr. President, there's a substitute ordinance that's being circulated for item 8. Perhaps it would be best to let that matter be circulated and then vote on whether
We'll
to
vote
substitute.
separately on that.
Very good,
Okay,
sir.
so on the remaining items, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And, Mr. President, the ordinance for item number 7 will go over 1 week for a second read.
I understand that. Let's go to the next set of items.
Very good, sir. Items 30 through 34 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before us. How many cards, or what do we have cards?
Mr. President, we have cards on all items.
Let's hold all, and let's move to the next section of the agenda.
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special or public comment for items not on council's agenda.
Okay, so again, without objection, those items are now before us. Specials members, any cards? Cards?
Mr. President, I know we do have cards on items 1 and 3.
Okay, why don't we prepare to vote on item 8, the amendment, the substitute should have been circulated and reviewed. So, okay, at the request of Mr. Krikorian, we will hold that for a minute. Let's go to item 3, Mr. Clerk, at this time. Item 3 is called Special by Mr. Akala. Mr. Akala and Mr. Walsh. Mr. Akala. If I call, okay, Mr. Akala passes. Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. We took the virus that you put up there off yesterday, and this is number 3. This concerns Sunset Boulevard and Western Avenue Lighting District improvement and maintenance. We're all in favor of this. We want to thank you. That's our neighborhood. When you do a good job, we say it. When you're garbage, we call you garbage. And you do a very good job on lighting. A very, very good job. If you complain, I tell you, if the lighting is bad in your neighborhood, I'm speaking to the people watching this, complain, 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 especially on the side streets. Come to Hollywood, totally lit on the side streets. Go to Highland Park, it's dark. This Western Avenue, this is an area that's improving. We're 100% in favor of this. And incidentally, congratulations on your salary raise, $180,000, and you don't show up for the meeting a half an hour late. You show up a half an hour late.
Stay on the subject?
Shame on you. That's the subject.
Shame on you. Okay. All right. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's, members, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, it's my understanding, Mr. Clerk, that any concerns where it relates to item 8 have been worked out, so we can prepare to vote on item 8. So on that item,
Mr. President,
yes.
Pardon me if I may. Item 8, a substitute ordinance has been circulated. Council should first vote on whether to substitute.
Actually, Council should amend this item to substitute the ordinance, so it's not a Rule 36 matter.
Okay, so what are we voting on? What are you guys in agreement of?
The city attorney advises then that this matter would be, that we should vote on this matter to adopt it as amended.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And again, Mr. President, that item will go over next week for a second read.
Thank you. Let's try item 30, which was called Special by Cards. Mr. Akala, if you please come forward. Mr. Walsh.
I wish to speak only 1 minute on this because
Just go right ahead.
I just don't feel like you should be moving homeless people from one country to another. You know, it's like,
You have to speak to the rent escrow account, Juan. You really
yeah,
do.
it has to do with the LA Ontario International Airport. Communication from the Board of Airport Commissioners relative to the proposed lease with Federal Express Corporation for the cargo facility located at 1801 East Avion Avenue in LA Ontario International. Avion means aviation, it means plane. In plain English.
Hold. Oh, it is? Okay, hold his time. All right, go ahead, Mr. Fowler. The board is incorrect. Can we just take one moment and correct it? Hold on, Juan.
Should we start over?
No, just hold. Okay, I'm going to let you continue. Continue.
Actually, he should talk about REAP, because that's what's
I'm going to
before.
just let him finish talking on what he wants to. Go
Well,
on, mister.
No, my minute's over. Look.
No, you got. Oh, okay, then thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at Hollywood Highlands, HIGHLANDS.org, or just click on from there, or J. Walsh Confidential. This concerns item 30. This, again, is removing various properties from the REAP program. I've been told people who are watching this are taking advantage of the REAP program. Here, there is a property, a rental property at 519 East 64th Street. The renter has violated code. The people who live there have collared him, and now he has to pay his rent to the city. I mean, you have to pay your rent to the city. He doesn't get it, and now he will be removed because he did the right thing, and also a landlord at West Pickford Street. We're 100% in favor of this. In right-wing cities like Glendale and Pasadena, they don't have this. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. There's a typo on the board, which Mr. Walsh was able to find out. So Mr. Walsh did stay on topic. The topic relates to the REAP program, and we're doing what we can to have this corrected. So with that said, Mr. Constituent.
From Van Nuys to Los Angeles. Everyone in Los Angeles, good morning. We're talking about REAP, and here's a comment from your rent stabilization. What is rent stabilization? What is RSO in reference to this topic? It's talking about an ordinance that deals with registration of rental units, allowance, rent increases, and 12 legal reasons for eviction, the relocation assistance for certain and no-fault evictions, and the following information to provide by Los Angeles Housing Department as courtesy to the residents of Los Angeles, and it is no way to be construed as an endorsement or recommendation of any of these organizations identified at this website. So again, how does REAP work? Zumadog from Venice Beach put it out very clear. The city takes your money, puts it to the side in a bank escrow account until you fix all your problems at your home that the city building is safety enforced upon your home and your property. So now this rent escrow stays in this imaginary bank that the city holds on to until you correct the problems. And if not, then they turn around and give this money back to you, we, the tenants, and we walk away and go rent somewhere else. Such gentrification is an uproar to me. And I say to all you in Los Angeles, if this is business of our city, Think of how business really works behind closed doors without transparency. Hold my time.
Thank you very much. Let's prepare to vote on this item. If we could open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Mr. Cedillo, it's my understanding you'd like to make a presentation or introduction.
Yes, sir.
This would be the appropriate time for you to do that, sir. Mr. Cedillo,
Yes,
the
Mr.
floor is
President,
yours.
First, let me apologize for the late arrival. As you knew, as I had noticed the council, we were up the street at the Ramon Cortines High School working with Panda Express on a gift of over $500,000 to give relief to those victims of the typhoon in the Philippines, and I just wanted to
No apology
lay that
is
out
necessary,
for
Gilbert.
notice.
For you or Mr. O'Farrell, we are grateful that the both of you shortened it and got here. So no apology. I'm appreciative of both of you. Continue.
So with that, though, speaking of high schools and young people and our future, I'm very excited today to talk about a program that's called Arts for a Better Tomorrow. This is an incredible program because it takes two circumstances that we would consider challenging and turns them into something that we would consider very positive. There are what we would call at-risk, disadvantaged youth that live in Tijuana, and there are at-risk, disadvantaged youth that live here in Los Angeles. This incredible program brings them together via technology, Skyping, texting, email, and the arts and crafts and movie making as the vehicle for them to build self-esteem, to work on projects of communication, build their communicative skills, build their self-esteem, and to prepare themselves for a place in the world. The ones from Tijuana are in orphanages. We call them foster homes here. And then many of the youth up here we would traditionally call at risk. But what we do call them as they participate in Arts for a Better Tomorrow is the future of our city. They are incredible, and I have a personal thank you to them. When my father passed a few weeks ago, they sent me, within the shortest period, a video that they made, binational video that encouraged me to appreciate his life and to continue with hope. It was very, very heartwarming. And I'm just amazed. I'm grateful for the message, but I was amazed that within a day or two, once they heard that my father had passed, that they had made their own video. And it's high quality, very professional. So with that, I want to introduce the founder, the genius, the executive director of the program, Jose Yenke. Jose Yenke, you may recognize from movie and television. He starred in the Academy Award nominated Traffic. He also starred in the Academy Award short film Wednesday Afternoon, and then has also been on HBO and numerous movies. He frequently plays the heavy, and it's completely out of character because when you get to know him, he is one of the most gentle and generous men that I have ever met, and one of incredible generosity for the time that he puts in with these young men and women, the future leaders not only of our city, our state, our nation, but future global leaders because of the international and binational nature of this program. So with that, I have an honor to introduce my friend, colleague, and a great civic leader, Jose Yenke.
Hello, everybody. I'm an actor, and I was very moved by what you said, Gil. Thank you so much. And I have my representatives here from Highland Park High School. And Arts for Better Tomorrow was something that was actually created. It was a project. Actors, usually in between jobs, we write films, we direct, we do little projects in between TV gigs. And this happened to be my gig. This turned into my heart project. And it started growing and growing. And then I met Gil Cedillo, and he encouraged me to have it even grow even more. Acting is what helped me when I was 14 years old, and I used to weigh 230 pounds, and I used to stutter. I suffered from low self-esteem. My mom put me into an acting workshop. Thank you, Teresa. She's in New York. An acting workshop. During those 6 months, I stopped stuttering. I lost the weight. I rediscovered my self-esteem. And I went on and had a career as an actor. So I only saw it right as someone who loves to give back to the community to do this with our next generation. I've been mentoring at this orphanage for the past 11 years. They encouraged me to do this. The international connection between video messages between my students here with the youth over there, encouraging each other during graduation, during all the difficult times, that was born through these guys, because this started to happen when I started to do the classes here this past January. And we have a lot of things coming up next year. We plan on going out to senior citizen homes because we believe that they need to find their voice as well, to reconnect and refine their self-esteem. And also, we're going to go globally. I see Nigeria as another stop. I have a connection there. And yeah, so thank you to New Media, and thank you to all for this recognition, and our golden mentors, our seniors, also our youth right here, our youth in Tijuana. And I'd like to just say a quick shout out to the kids out in Mexico, Niños de la Promesa, Casa Hogarción, and Puerta de la Fe, and City of Angels. Yo soy bien orgulloso de ustedes. Ustedes son parte de nosotros. Nosotros todos somos iguales. We are an international community. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
so with that, one of my favorite parts of this job is you come up here and I give you this resolution. On behalf of the city, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right there, look this one. Okay. Now we have individuals from all of you in the back. So we're going to do that in a minute. Beautiful. Yeah?
Again, congratulations. If you would please follow Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Clerk, I'd like to go to item 23, which was held special by cards. Arnold, I'm going to be calling you right now, so if we could get Arnold to come, Arnold Sachs, Mr. Juan Acala, Mr. Walsh, and Mr. Herman. Please come forward. Mr. Acala, you want to come? You're right there. You're going to speak on this? Come on. He passes on this item, Mr. Acala.
Mr. President, if I may, the board still appears to be wrong. ITA has indicated that they're working on the problem and subsequently would have to take the entire system down in order to do it. So if I may, I'll briefly read the description for item 23.
If you would, go right ahead.
It's a categorical exemption and communication from Chair, Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee report relative to the proposed lease with Federal Express Corporation for cargo facility located at 1801 East Avalon Avenue at LA Ontario International Airport.
Go on, Mr. Sack.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. This lease, these funds that'll be generated through this lease, I believe would be used specifically for airport operations, which is a good thing, I guess, because really nobody knows what's going on with the airport operations, per se. So I'm wondering, and that would be according to FAA rules. There's a lease that's associated with authorized taxi cab supervision where they're collecting the money on airport property. There's a fund that's paid for passengers when they get a cab. And I'm not sure about limos, and I'm not sure about the express transportation, but half of that funding goes to taxi cab operation, which is not part of airport operations. It's private business. So it would really behoove the council and or the Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Commission, if they're so concerned about the money that's raised from this lease going to the operations of the airport, that they look into the operations and the other funds that I just mentioned. And it was mentioned in a newspaper article, I believe the head of Yellow Cab mentioned the information regarding the...
Mr. President, he's not talking about this lease.
I'm talking about the funds raised by the lease, Mr. President.
Go right ahead, Arnold. Arnold, go on. You got 18 seconds.
And the fact that the council has approved the lease payment to go to the airport operations as per federal aviation requirements. And other leases, that doesn't happen. They need to address that discrepancy.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Again, Mr. Akala passes. Mr. Walsh, followed by Mr. Herman. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. I don't filibuster, I talk to the issue. This is 23. When you read it, Mr. Clerk, you put something in there. You said something that is in the agenda. Categorical exemption. What does categorical exemption mean? I'm speaking to the people watching. That means they don't have to pay the taxes and fees that they ordinarily would. This is a waiver to this corporation, Federal Express, and they are, and let's face it, they are, I feel sorry for Federal Express. They are located in the most chaotic, worst airport in the world where people are shut down. I say to every tourist, stay away from the airport, stay away from Federal Express, stay away. And why? Because of a turf war between the LAPD and the airport police. HollywoodHighlands.org, minute 3.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Herman, please come forward. Please come forward.
HollywoodHighland.org, Mr. Walsh is absolutely correct. A lease with an exemption, a clause. Where's the transparency that we hear about in Los Angeles? I'm not going to exhaust my time because there's more items to talk about. But going back on this lease at the LA Ontario International Airport, this is ridiculous. And this is why communication should be your priority, to repair and fix your communication when the speakers are speaking. Hold my time, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, City Attorney.
All right, let's. That's the last person on the queue. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. Now we're going to go to item 31. Mr. Akala.
And Mr. President, item 31 is motion Weston Martinez relative to funding for the installation of fencing at various walkways south of the 10 freeway.
Thank you. And again, Mr. Akala, Mr. Walsh.
I pass.
Mr. Akala passes. Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh, followed by Mr. Gus, Daniel Gus.
Okay, this is item 31. It's an old redevelopment project. You were going to get the money from the CRA, but you're not getting it anymore because we sent the CRA to hell. It doesn't exist anymore. That's the, so what this is doing, and remember, they used to laugh and smirk when I said that I will bury the CRA, we will. Well, I'm still alive, the CRA is dead for almost 2 years. But this is fencing, these various walkways. Fencing is very important around freeways. I just want to ask people in the Black and Hispanic community, take a look at your fencing. You don't have the kind of fencing they have south of La Brea where all the white people, rich white people live. HollywoodHighlands.org.
When I get this fence, Mr. Walsh, you should go by and visit it. Mr. Gus?
Just quoting Paul Koretz's official language, good morning, idiots.
Let's stay on this one,
I am.
Daniel.
I'm greeting you. I'm allowed to greet you in the terms that Mr. Koretz uses. Good morning, idiots.
Let's stay on this item now.
I am on this item. That was my good morning to you guys. Per official city language.
Yes, Mr. Krikorian.
It's not up to the speaker to debate issues with you. The president of the council makes determinations from the podium.
Daniel.
Responses from the public to the president of the council are disruptive.
Daniel,
he needs
you've
to
got
speak
it.
to item
And I
31.
agree with you, Mr.
How can it be
Krikorian.
disruptive if I'm using Paul Koretz?
No.
This
You're
is
doing it
entirely
now.
off topic.
Daniel,
and
I'm
disruptive.
giving you your last chance. Go back to subject. Go back on the subject, or you can sit down and I'll call your next card.
I haven't had a chance to get on the subject yet. You keep interrupting.
Okay,
And I
Mr.
will-
Gus, I hate to do this to you, but you are unnecessarily fencing with me. So who's after? So there's no one after Mr. Gus. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Okay, the next item,
Yes, Mr. President.
32, I believe it is.
Yes, sir.
Let's-
That's motion Weston Cedillo relative to designating the Bureau of Sanitation as fiscal agent and program manager of the Brownfields program.
Okay, let's have Mr. Akala. Juan, you're on the queue on this one. And Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh passes. Mr. Akala.
I want to speak 1 minute on this item. Motion Wesson relative to the designation of the Bureau Sanitation as fiscal agent and program manager of the Brownfield program. Recommend for council soon, subject to the approval of the mayor designating the Bureau of Sanitation fiscal agent. Program instruction, the general manager, housing, community investment department, in the director bureau. You know, you spend all these bureaucracy things and you don't create housing, you don't create sanitation, nothing happens. All you do is use the money on useless studies and useless. Everything you do is kind of useless.
Stay on the subject.
Yeah. The subject is you should do actually useful things around the city.
Thank you. Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll. Here it is. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Okay, I'm going to switch quickly to general public comment. I'm going to take 3 cards. Do we have a Flavio Gonzalez? If you please come forward. And sir, I believe you have 2 other people, an Abel Sanchez, and is it Milagros? Is he here as well? Or she?
Yes, I am.
So we'll start with Mr. Gonzalez. If the other 2 could please come forward. Yes, sir, welcome.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President, council members. Milagros Lizárraga is the president of Peru Village, an organization that was established a year ago, and she would like to address you all.
Thank you, Flavio. Good afternoon or good morning. A year ago, we presented an initiative exactly in this chamber named Peru Village. The Peruvian American community has presented an initiative to be officially included and recognized in the city of Los Angeles. Similar to El Salvador Corridor, to Thai Town, we would like to be included, and the proposition has been going through the process. So we know that we have many new council members, and we wanted to come and update you with what has happened. The initiative got a very good welcoming from over around 900 constituents between business and people in the area. In 2 days, they signed in favor of this petition. CD13 Council Member Eric Garcetti also gave us a warm welcome when he was sitting here a year ago. And we received official Congress, U.S. Congress recognition in July of this year. So we are just wanted to please put this item on agenda for 2014. We're looking forward to move. It is in the Education Committee right now, and we are all looking forward to be celebrating the history-making that the Peruvian American community is doing right now, a Latino community in the U.S. History of inclusion, recognition, and belonging, which can only lead to a much brighter future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Lizarraga, Abel Sanchez, are you?
He's not here.
They're not here? Okay, well, thank you. All right, so now we will go back on the agenda to item 33. Mr. Akala, Mr. Sachs.
And Mr. President, if I may, it appears as if ITA has rectified the problem in regards to today's screens, so the speakers can address the board.
Okay, Mr. Akala.
Motion, Martinez Wesson. You got me all confused today, but I'm trying to regain my composure. That board really threw me off.
I understand, but speak to the subject.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on housing more often, but...
No, you have to, come on, Juan, this does not deal with that.
Wesson, relative to the Council District 6 Pedestrian Pathways Project. Recommendations for council action subject to the approval of the mayor. The Community Development Block Grant funds in the amount of $600,000 from the Neighborhood Improvement Fund, blah, 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 Program Year Housing and Community Development, the Bureau of Street Service for Council District 6 Pedestrian Pathway Project. $600,000 for a pedestrian project. What about housing? Instruct the Housing and Community Investment Department, HICD, to meet with the Bureau of Street Services to ensure the program is developed to meet HUD, civic year regulations. By the way, I'm trying to get Section 8 housing. It's very hard because nobody wants to comply with your regulations. Instruct HICD to amend the necessary consolidated plans as necessary, make any technical changes, and prepare the required control and instructions required to effectuate, is that a real word?
Stay on the subject.
I'm asking, effectuate.
Stay on the subject. Come on, Juan.
These motions subject to review and approval by the city legislative analyst and authorize the controller to implement these instructions. What did I
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. Come forward. Item 33, followed by Mr. Herman. Yes, Arnold. Mr.
Yes,
Sachs.
Thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. And CDBG funds being used for a pedestrian pathways project. So again, I'm asking pedestrian pathways projects. That's in addition to the city right-of-ways. That's in addition to the sidewalks. That's in addition to the median between the sidewalks and the street. That's in addition to the part of the street that includes the curbs. So who's responsible for the upkeep of pedestrian pathways? And maybe that's a way around for the city not to do sidewalk improvements. Make pedestrian pathways. It is another iron in the fire. What exactly constitutes pedestrian pathways in relationship to the city right-of-ways, which is a relationship to sidewalks, which is a relationship that leads to trip and falls, which is a relationship that leads to money being paid out, which is a relationship that leads to no repairs to sidewalks. So, would it behoove the city districts to just create pathways through their city residential areas that mean tearing up the sidewalks that are existing now, that are in such disrepair, and just finish them off? Or could you consult with your council district and say, we don't want sidewalks, we'd prefer to have pathways. That way we don't have to pay for upkeep, and we can grow what we want alongside the pathways because they're not under ordinance of the city council.
Thank you, Arnold. Mr. Herman.
If I'm not right, state and federal law has a guideline to how we regulate, how we promote public safety on our streets. And we're talking here on the subject and matter of, as I won't bring out, a block grant. How many times has the city abused state and federal fundings when it comes to the community investment? So far, for the record, I've indicated multiple sidewalk issues, as I mentioned to Mr. Fuentes up in Sacramento when I was visiting, and that to Kevin De Leon's office. So Sacramento, be aware, you are part of the problem. Yes, when it comes to what? The appropriate community development block grants, there needs to be oversight and scrutiny when it comes to how you're funding, Mr. O'Farrell, public safety with these type of fraudulent, abusive block grants and bonds. Yes, Mr. Dean, I'm going back on subject, because all the subjects I talk about go back to the legal rights of persons with disabilities on top of the matter of your general public.
Let's stay on the subject.
So as it reads, and let me take my glasses off for the record, funds of the amount of $600,000 for the Neighborhood Improvement Funds 2013-2014, Programs Years Housing and Community Development, consideration, blah, 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 to amend the necessary consolidation and plans necessary to make technical changes and repair required. Stick to the ordinances that are already on the books, because they protect our safety on our public sidewalks, in your medians, and in the jargon of the nonsense you publish to fool the public in Los Angeles.
Thank you. Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Oh, Daniel, please come forward, Daniel.
I will be in touch with the ACLU today.
Let's stay on the subject.
Yes, sir. What a bloody racist program. $600,000 for a largely Latino community. And yesterday, City Council spent almost $7 million on a police retaliation lawsuit. Why aren't you spending $7 million in Ms. Martinez's district? I mean, there's a lot more people who would be better served by this money. And it's a blatantly racist, minimal amount when City Council spent 1,200% more yesterday on 5 police officers. This is an underserved community. And notice how the white communities get more, the Latino communities get less.
Stay on the subject, Mr. City Attorney. Stay alert. Come on, Daniel. That's all I want you to do is connect. That's all.
I'm connecting that this community is underserved on expenditures like this. I think it's racist unless we spend more money in the Latino and African American communities. I live very close to CD6, and we need to do more for these people than just this little tiny amount. How much is this? Let me see here. It's only $600,000 for a poor, undereducated community. Why aren't we doing more for CD6? This is not enough money. I'm thinking maybe $1 million for this expenditure, maybe $2 million for this expenditure. And you can be sure of one thing, that I will be in touch with the ACLU for denying me based on my salutation only. And I will name Mr. Wesson in that, regretfully.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Mr. City Attorney.
And just to make the record clear, Mr. Gus was not on the subject on that other matter. That's why he continually was requested to stay on the subject, and he was not removed from the meeting.
Thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now I'm going to move to general public comment for a couple of speakers. Richard Robinson, Mr. Walsh, please come forward, and Mr. Sachs.
Mr. President, members, the homeless people in the streets of Los Angeles have very basic needs: food and shelter. For many years, these needs have been met. Sir, the revolving door mindset of those responsible for providing these basic needs has become a challenge. The perception that the problem of homelessness is met. Homeless people are not the problem is homelessness. Giving homeless women and men food and putting them to bed for the night serves the purpose of the city's rescue missions. But because they do not have as yet the comprehensive solution, after they are given breakfast, they wander the streets until lunch, eat, wander the streets until supper, wander the streets, put to bed. Again, the community awareness and the CATS program Willie Brown started in 1979 in San Francisco, the Community Awareness Treatment Service, facilitated by Gavin Newsom when he became mayor, establishing a Care Not Cash program. The problem of homelessness in San Francisco has been eliminated, essentially. People are not dying in the streets of San Francisco. What I envision at 5th and Main is utilizing the $1 Million Hotel there, 1,500 rooms, with what? Willie's program, Gavin's program, right here in Los Angeles.
Mr. Herman,
Thank you.
please. All right, Mr. Sachs, you want to come up next? And Mr. Walsh, Mr. Sachs, behind Mr. Walsh.
John
Go right
Walsh?
ahead, John.
Blogging, that's 2 minutes under public comment, not 1 minute.
No,
Hollywood
this
Highlands.
Hold on.
Okay. John
Okay,
Walsh,
now go.
blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Congratulations, you just got your raise. You know how they get their raise? They don't vote it for themselves. They passed an ordinance saying they will get the same amount of money as a Superior Court judge does. So when the Superior Court judge money goes up, their money goes up. They're getting $180,000 a year. That's $3,500 a week. And Buscaino hasn't been here for a week. They get paid for sitting on their ass. I figured it out how much they get paid per minute for a city council meeting. and that's $12. So they're getting paid each $24 to listen to me. I'm telling you right now that, as you know, I was accused by the city attorney of obscenity at last Wednesday's meeting. Go and check what I said. Nothing was obscene. I have accused Mr. LaBonge, who was in cahoots with City Attorney Dion O'Connell, of being virulent anti-Semites. I am a Jew, a perfidious Jew, as Shakespeare said, a loudmouth Jew, a Jew with a big lip. And I can't tell you, for the rest of my life, whenever I say LaBonge's name, I will say anti-Semite, because you called me obscene. I am not obscene. I have never said anything obscene, and I want to say that I will continue to talk, and when Mr. LaBonge leaves, I will make sure that any prospective employer knows that he called me and the city attorney, Dion O'Connell, two racist Irishmen, called me obscene. You're not saying it anymore, are you? HollywoodHighlands.org. Read the latest obscenity on my website. 7,000 visitors last Wednesday. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you. Mr. Sachs, general public comment.
Yeah, $24 to listen to him and $25 for psychology. It was a very...
Oh, you know what I did? Hold his time. I did want to announce, just so that to make it clear, the pay system has been voted on by the people of the city. It was not determined by the city council, and our pay scale is not set by the city council. Give Mr. Sachs back his 2 minutes, Mr. Clerk, and I apologize for that interruption.
Thank you. There was a very interesting small editorial in LA Times on Sunday regarding AEG's convention center. And it mentioned several fascinating things. Maybe you ought to cut it out, find it, and put it on your refrigerator so you can reference it. First of all, it mentions AEG is taking over the convention center. Yet last week, when the council had an action on their agenda, they mentioned an unnamed entity as acting as management for the convention center. Could be LA Arena Land Company. It just works as a pass-through. It also mentions part of the problem with the LA City threat to bankruptcy a few years ago. Doesn't mention anything about the LA City Council authorizing the 30% pay raise to the city coalition during the time of bankruptcy. Doesn't mention anything about that. So you might consider that. It mentions part of the problem with the LA Zoo, that the fact that the city charter prevented it. But it doesn't mention that the city council should have known, or the city attorney's office should have known, that the city charter prevented it in the first place, and it was useless to go through the negotiations if that part of the charter already prevented it. And finally, it mentions discussions about the city's deficit, the upcoming deficit being $242 million. But as more is important, it mentions the structural deficit. And what's interesting here is it defines them as separate entities. And so you should keep that in mind, because when budget hearings come up, the city council's game of tossing those phrases back and forth, where they say structural deficit and deficit being the same, they are not the same. Pay close attention. It's your...
Thank you, Arno. Mr. Garza, come on forward. Good to see you. General public comment.
Good morning. General public comment. I just want to express my gratitude for this holidays and Thanksgiving to all the city council people. I watched you do your thing like you've done every year. It was wonderful. Gil Cedillo helped the people in his district, hooked us up with a whole bunch of turkeys for the Union Rescue Mission. We got to fry them up. I monitor every one of you. I am so grateful for you, Mr. O'Farrell. I watched you go and seek the people under the bridges. That was beautiful to me. But what I'm here today about is I'm sick and tired right now of hearing the press and everybody talk trash about Mr. LaBonge. Mr. LaBonge loves the city of L.A. He loves all of the people of the city of L.A., whether they be on the street, whether they be in the bridges, or whether they be in the mansions or the hills. It doesn't matter. He loves L.A. And I will be here to defend him to my last breath. Because let me tell you, I came to this city, and I was on those streets. I spent time living in the chapel of the Dolores Mission. And I can honestly tell you that it was people like Tom LaBonge, when I came to city council, who encouraged me to keep moving forward, even when I was on the streets of Skid Row. Mitch was also there for me. They treated me with the utmost respect, common courtesy, and decency, even though I lived in Skid Row. And I can tell you, it was because of them I was able to put 1,700 units of housing in a Community Redevelopment Agency Project Advisory Committee plan. And part of that housing that we see going out there to accommodate the Jones case out in other parts of the city is as a result of these people here telling me that I can do it. We can do it ourselves. So let me tell you something, Mr. LaBonge. All those people saying that you want to stop feeding people and ban people's food from their mouths, they're taking this issue way out of control. And let me tell you something. I love you, man. With all my heart, I love you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Thank you. Thank you so very much. And we are very proud of your success as well. Okay, now, Mr. Akala, could you please sit down? I didn't call your name. Let's go to item 34, where I have Mr. Gus. Daniel, you have a minute left. Mr. Walsh, you have a minute left. Mr. Akala, you have a minute left. And Mr. Herman, you're out of time. So please come forward. Daniel, the floor is yours.
I was actually only going to speak for a minute on the subject which you stole from me, so I have 2 minutes left. Please don't deny me my rightful time to speak.
Daniel, you have 1 minute.
I was only going to speak on 1 minute.
1 minute left to speak on this.
I'm not being argumentative. I'm disagreeing respectfully with City Council. The meeting, the item that you banned me on.
He is not talking about this item.
You're not on the subject, Daniel. I understand that you have some concerns. I get that. But you historically have played by the rules, and I've been very grateful. You are not on topic, and you just have to forfeit your time to the next speaker because I know you're intelligent. You know you're not on subject. And Mr. Englander, you wanted to?
Just wanted to say, Mr. President, you've been giving those the warnings and going through the council rules of being on subject. This is, again, a reiteration of that for, I think, the third or fourth time this meeting, and it's disrupting the meeting. So I just wanted to go on record. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walsh, followed by Mr. Akala. No. You got to stay on topic.
If I may just make a point of order, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Krikorian.
I just wanted to clarify because I think Mr. Gus might have misunderstood your previous ruling. Whether he's respectful or not has nothing whatever to do with this. He can be entirely disrespectful if he wishes. The issue is that he's not speaking on the topic that was the subject of discussion, and arguing with the chair is simply off the topic of our discussion. So I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that your previous ruling had nothing to do with whether or not he was showing disrespect. It was just entirely off the topic of the agenda, and therefore not consistent with the Brown Act.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Okay, Mr. Walsh, 1 minute on item 34.
I was very disrespectful and declared by the city attorney to be obscene.
No,
okay?
this is not the subject.
HollywoodHighlands.org. Okay, this is a lease approval for office space for the Neighborhood Empowerment Community Council, and I assume that the landlord is the National Council of Jewish Women, being, as you know, my grandmother is buried in Coney Island, Bertha Berger. I am a Jew and have been victimized by anti-Semitism at these meetings. HollywoodHighlands.org.
No, you're not on subject. Okay, Mr.
I'm talking about
Mr. Okala, come forward. You have 1 minute left.
I'm probably a Mexican Jew.
No, stay on the subject.
Oh, the subject is the real Jews
Okay, your time is up. All right, members, let's. Okay, can we keep it quiet? Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney.
Just while we're still on
Here.
the topic of agenda item public comment, the Ninth Circuit in 1990 in White versus City of Norwalk held, the council has an agenda to be addressed and dealt with. In dealing with agenda items, the council does not violate the First Amendment when it restricts public speakers to the subject at hand. While a speaker may not be stopped from speaking because the moderator disagrees with the viewpoint he is expressing, it certainly may stop him if his speech becomes irrelevant or repetitious. A speaker may disrupt a council meeting by speaking too long, by being unduly repetitious, or by extended discussion of irrelevancies. The meeting is disrupted because the council is prevented from accomplishing its business in a reasonably efficient manner. Indeed, such conduct may interfere with the rights of other speakers. That's White versus City of Norwalk, 900 F. 2nd, 1421 in 1990.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. And what we're going to go back to, and I hate to, and I'll be right with you. What I hate to have to do, but we're going to go back to the way that we used to do things. You will be given a warning in the very beginning of the meeting. If you speak off topic, you will immediately forfeit your time. So I will start doing that on Friday, telling you to stay on the subject. If you veer from that, then the next speaker will be called. Mr. Krikorian.
Just as a point of order, Mr. President, further to the City Attorney's comments, at Friday's council meeting, at the conclusion of the meeting, 4 separate members of the public came to me and told me that the repetitive comments of certain members of the public during general public was the public comment period was disrupting their ability to participate in the meeting. So it was an exact example of what the City Attorney just reported. When we have disruptions of the meeting like this, it interferes with the public's ability to fully participate in the matters that we're discussing.
And I concur. Okay, that brings us where? Does it bring us back, or did we vote on this one already? Okay, so that should bring us back to general public comment, correct?
Yes, sir.
I have 3 cards. I have a Mr. Herman, a Mr. Kala, and Daniel Gus. So if you please come forward.
Los Angeles, this is just straight out rudeness. When you got our 15 public officials speaking out against what? Sometime the use of language does not conform to the conventions of civility. And yet the Republic under Aristotle and Plato made it very clear that justice has a purpose. Not an injustice, Mr. Krikorian, but a justice for the speakers to speak and to criticize their opinion, not based on your relative thinking, but on their own opinion. And when you come up with stories that people were upset and sit down, Dion, please, I'm speaking. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking. But go ahead, interrupt me, because I get interrupted, because I get frustrated when people come here and say, look at the speaker, he's off topic. I'm always off topic, because I know nothing. I've always known nothing, but I've come here today to speak gently on a passive-aggressive note that I am not racist, I am not prejudiced, and I don't discriminate against people. What? Legal rights of disability, Mr. Krikorian. When your action insults me, and if I wish to have someone next to me, it's fine. It's okay. We're in Los Angeles, the biggest city, second biggest city of corruption, scandal, and the second city becoming like Bell. Yes, like Bell, because we hinder you from what? Doing your injustice through not transparency? But yet the gadfly speaks rudely, ambitiously, and strongly in opposition to some of your unbiasedness. Yes, the Nazis did the same to the Jews. The Turks did the same to the Armenians, and now you're doing it to the population of homeless people here in America. We, the people, are homeless ask that you change your personal views and attacks towards the speakers here in council, and I had nothing offensive of Mr. Guy said.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Akala, Juan Akala, followed by
Yes.
Daniel Gus.
Yes, Armenians. Yes, Jews. You're doing it to the Mexicans just because it was done to you. Hello. We, the Mexicans, need more housing. We, the homeless, idiots on the street that you call us, need housing. How are we going to get this? By taking it away from government. Government does not belong in basic housing. The people do. The people should run their own program and do not depend on the city for anything. The city has no right to take away housing because they are owed taxes. If I owe you $1,000 in taxes and I have a house and I paid all my life, you will sell my house from under me. What kind of stupid idiots, greedy mothers are you? Huh? Why are you passing all these ordinances to keep people out on the streets? Why are you making taxes a relevant point in keeping people out on the street? Obama, all you assholes in government, I'm talking to you. We need housing first for everybody. It's the most basic right that a human being can have. We came to this world not to be sidelined. I was a teacher for 20 years, and I'm telling you, the system is not working. You are fucking everybody up. And that is you, the government. We elected you to help us, not to fuck us up.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Daniel Gus, please come forward.
So that's interesting. You idiots deny me based on clarifying the amount of time I have to speak left. I wasn't off topic. I was clarifying that you denied me 2 minutes when I was only going to speak on 1 minute on the time. If that's disruptive and you let Mr. Alcala use the F word and the a-hole word, you guys just picked a fight with the wrong guy. You guys picked a fight with the wrong guy in a big way. If I don't get an immediate apology from the city council president, an immediate reinstatement of all of the stolen time, you guys have just picked open a scab you're going to regret picking. So, last week you denied my right to speak about Gail Koretz and Rachel Koretz, suggesting that they weren't public figures. Here's the Rick Orlov article promoted by the mayor's office.
I know.
Promoted by the mayor's office. They got top billing, higher billing than J.J. Abrams and Tom Cruise. They are public people. You push your families into public life. If you don't like the fact that I'll use Mr. Koretz's own words against his own stupid family, they're public people. Don't deny me my rights to speak. I don't care what Mr. Krikorian says. My right to speak is not trumped by 4 people who object to some offhand comment where I'm only reiterating what Mr. Koretz said. Mr. Koretz referred to Ruth Ann Secunda as a moron. She's a public figure. So is Gail Koretz, moron. Mr. Koretz, in this document, a city document, referred to Ms. Secunda as an idiot. Great. I'm taking it and putting on public figure Rachel Koretz. Idiot. I expect an apology now. I expect reinstatement of my time now. If you don't, you guys have got a bigger fight on your hands than you imagine because I was only questioning my time left. If I don't get it now, wait to see what happens.
Thank you. Your time is up, and you should call, and I'll gladly chat with you about that. Okay, any more business, Mr. In fact, don't we have a special?
Yes, sir. We do have item 1 still to deal with, sir.
Okay, so we do have one more item?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that a mark?
Item number 1
Roth?
called special for cards, sir.
Luis Valadez, Chuck Wong, Carl Vanderbilt or Bert. You guys start coming. Robert Houston. Jim Tharp. Come forward and identify yourself.
Yes, I'm Mark Perot, MD. I'm a psychiatrist. I live at 3940 Olmsted. I reside there with my wife, Linda Shue, and I'm here regarding a lien hearing. And basically what I'm requesting is that you delay your decision on the matter of the lien because of procedural rules regarding evidence. I'm planning to meet and confer with Building and Safety to try and resolve the issues separately.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't I ask that this be continued, Mr. Clerk, until after the new year? Let me have somebody who's going up there on the sideline. That's Michael Bai. He works with me. Why don't we at least discuss it? We'll have a few weeks to see if we can sort it out.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And Mr. President, that item for clarification is 1A, and the first meeting back would be January 7, 2014. Again, 1A continued
That a
to January
Tuesday?
7. Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, let's hear this again on the 8th, I think. What did you say, 7th, 8th?
7th is Tuesday, 8th is Wednesday, sir.
Good enough. Mr. Luis?
So we'll continue that to the 8th.
Yes. Please come forward, sir.
My name is Luis Valadez. I live
Louis.
at 3842 Oak Hill Avenue. I have 24 years with sanitation. And I'm speaking about the matter of having things in my front yard. I cleaned out most of it. I have a few boxes left in the front. And I believe that the fine that they're trying to impose on me, $2,500, is pretty much. And I'm asking for mercy of the City Council if you could please reduce it or even waive the fine. And
Let's hold that. Let me hear some of the other speakers. So just
you.
stick around for a minute. The next speaker, please come forward. Stay right there, Mr. Valadez. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, my name is Chuck Wong. I have a code violation that took place in 2009, and I was fined all the way to 2013. I rented a store to one of the tenants, and he only took down the plaster wall because he wanted to join up with a business next to him. And the only thing he did was to take off the plaster wall, and he realized that he had to do more than just open up for business. So he figured this thing out. It's going to cost him about $60,000. So he decided he's going to stop the business, stop the lease, and he basically put the plaster wall back on. He didn't touch the electrical, and he was written up for a violation of the electrical code. And then my next tenant, which is 6 months later, he got a business permit, and he supposedly cleared up everything. And we pay a permit for that. And that was clear, and he got a certificate of occupancy. So I'm appealing for removal of the code violation on the electrical.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Please come forward, Mr. Blumenfield.
Mr. Wong, if you could meet, because this is in my district, if you could meet with my staff, John Popach over there, we will
Tall
talk
gentleman.
this issue has been noted and filed, so it's not moving forward because he did pay just recently. So it's not an issue for us right now, but it's something that my staff will work with you on to try to square.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bloomingfield, for that clarification. And if you could identify yourself, please.
Good morning, City Council. My name is Robert Houston, and this is my wife, Clara Houston. We have a problem with a neighbor has been calling parking enforcement on me for over 3 years. They've been wanting to buy my house, and they finally decided they were going to call parking enforcement. Correction on that. That's building and safety. And building and safety came out one day after having breakfast with Mr. Landero, who's been calling, and they decided that just because my van was in my driveway, they wanted me to move it out to the street. The van wasn't registered, and I do not want to get any tickets, but they're trying to force me to put the vehicle out in the street. I asked him, why should I put it out there? And he says, because, and he told me himself that he had breakfast with Mr. Landero that morning before. Then they came about a month ago, and I don't know what they did, but they let my dogs out. It cost me $200, almost $300 to get my dogs back. It was the individuals that came to the house to do the inspection. I feel that I'm being charged unjust, and I did talk to a representative from my district, and he told me he would try to hold it.
Okay, I've received a note asking that item 1B and item 1K be continued for 30 days.
Okay.
So it will be continued. Your issue will be continued.
And Mr.
for
President,
30 days.
Pardon me, sir. That brings us. That date is January 10, 2014.
Okay, thank you.
Same time?
Well, you should chat. I'm sure it will be, but you should chat with your representative's office, Mr. Houston.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all have a nice
Thank
holiday.
you. Same to you. Without objection, that'll be the order. Please come forward, sir, and identify yourself.
My name is Carl Vandenberg. I'm an officer of the corporation called Creative Investment Group. We own a property at 2315 West Vernon Avenue in Los Angeles. In 2010, an inspection was done at the property and an invoice was delivered to the tenant in possession. I did not know that the invoice was there, and thereby it was not paid until October of 2011. On October of 2011, I did, in fact, contact the building and safety. I got the new invoices, and I paid those invoices. The 2010 was originally $355, and I paid $458. The 2011 was $457, and I had to pay $590. I paid that amount. Then I got a third invoice based on the 2010 that was not paid. And according to that invoice, I owed $2,650 in additional costs, fees, fines, and whatever you want to call it. I think it's outrageous that $2,650 is being imposed on something I've already paid. I sent a letter on October 20th, 2011 in dispute of that $2,600 fine that I'm being imposed on a $400 annual fee. And they did not respond. I called and I spoke to two people at Building and Safety to be informed that neither one of them had the authority to discuss this issue, nor would they. So instead of answering or doing something about it, I am here today because they simply want to clarify their right and justice by ordering this council to put a lien on my property on
Mr. Burt, what I'm going to do,
things that I've
your
already
council representative is not here today. If you'd like, I will continue this till 1 week.
Sir,
So it'll be to next Wednesday.
Sir.
And or we can just go on and vote on it right now.
Sir,
So I'm helping you here.
Sir, I appreciate what you're saying. However, this is not a District 8 problem. This is a city attorney problem. The fact of the matter is, I paid the money.
Sir, we're giving you a little bit more time so that we can try to sort this out.
I understand
You
that,
go
but
to the
who do I
representative
contact?
from Council District 8, and hopefully they can help you. Your
sir.
time's expired. Thank you very much. Okay, let's prepare Mr. Clerk to vote on these items other than the ones that have been continued.
Pardon me, sir. For item 1G, did you want to continue that matter 1 week?
Yes, that's till a week from today.
December 18. Would you like to do that without objection, sir?
Without objection.
Very good.
So do we actually have to vote on anything, or are we good on this item 1?
No, sir. We still have items 1C, 1E, 1F, 1A.
Let's vote on the remaining items. Let's open
Very
the roll.
good, sir.
Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Okay, we have a special one, isn't it? Yes, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the Council's consideration of the adequacy of the findings. Since the posting of today's agenda, the LAPD has requested that the reward offer that Council had offered on Friday regarding the shooting death of Talib Pekant be rescinded so that a new reward offer be issued for $75,000 for information leading to the arrest of suspects in the shooting death of Talib Pekant and the shooting injury of his mother, Sawan Mak, on December 2nd at 9 p.m. at 1936 South Corning Street. Immediate action is required for the safety of the community. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Let's do that. Let's, on the findings, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Mr. Walsh?
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. At long last, do you have no decency? A murder occurred. The family is in mourning. A child was killed. And what are you doing? You're rescinding the $50,000 reward for a $75,000 reward. Don't you understand? This is a gang killing. Anyone who says anything will be killed if they come to you. Do you really believe, will one of you get up and say an extra $25,000 will convince someone to give you the information? How, I mean, the way you, and meanwhile, Gatto, you don't put any money up. It's always money for minorities, families. You should be, I want to know why the LAPD thinks an extra $25,000 will convince the people who saw this murder take place to come to you, and their gang infiltration of the city council and of this city hall. Everybody out there knows if they talk to the cops about who killed this child, the word will get back to the gangs and they will be executed. And I want to point out, I'm going to finish now, you can have the rest of the time, if in any way I die, and I'm saying this, it wasn't a suicide, it wasn't natural, John Walsh was murdered.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Gus, and Mr. Herman.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really concerned that enhancing this reward will put somebody at risk. If somebody is too fearful to come forward for $50,000 reward, they should undoubtedly feel whatever threats out there for an extra $25,000. I think this is reckless. I don't think you should increase it. I think you should take the reward away, because if there's known gang activity, you're threatening any potential whistleblower to grave bodily injury or death, obviously. I'm concerned if anybody were to give information, because it could subject them to harm. And we already lost a young person as a result of this. I am really concerned about the criteria that you use when you issue these awards, and the fact that you have to increase the award, not by 100% or 200%, but by 50%. I fear that it's not only going to be ineffective, I fear that the harm it could bring to somebody who may be on the fence about speaking up about it, I am concerned about that. You may also want to consider whether this opens the city to liability if a potential eyewitness comes forward, if this additional reward results in somebody coming forward and they're harmed. Wouldn't you say that the additional $25,000 is the thing that cost them to be harmed or cost them to lose their lives? See, I can be very reasonable and cogent at these things, and you should welcome me to come speak here about them. But I know I'll stay on topic.
Thank you.
I feel that it's a dangerous thing you're doing by increasing the reward. God bless this poor victim. God bless this poor family that lost this poor victim. Please don't put people in harm's way.
Thank you, Mr. Gus. Mr. Herman? And Mr. Herman, please, let's leave the applause in the hallway. Go ahead.
My condolences to the lives that are lost in Los Angeles, and my deepest regrets to the families who've lost loved ones, and now we portray a life by dollars. The value of a human life is based on a dollar, a reward. And so we say to ourselves, are we impartial just to give out an award, not realizing that, again, are we going to jeopardize other lives just simply to receive and accept a reward on behalf of people who have been murdered? Yes, lives in this city have been interrupted, including my own, due to the loss of loved ones. And so we reach out to you, Los Angeles, all you who wish to tour and be a part of the great second city in the world, Los Angeles, is this. The value of a life shouldn't pertain to more money. It's reckless. The liability. I'm repetitive about this because the liability falls on your hands for giving out these amounts that there is no transparency whether they're being paid out. And so, again, where's the accountability when it comes to seeing how these valuable rewards are being paid out? So let's have some consistency and fact. When we, the city of Los Angeles, want to know more about the concerns of rewards, let's make sure that it's all visible and pertinent to what we have to agree on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. City Attorney, we are now actually voting on the motion. Let's open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, what further action is before this body?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Okay, announcements, members, announcements. Announcements, seeing none, let's rise. Everyone in the council chambers, please rise for adjourning motions. Everybody, please rise for adjourning motions. All right. On the Mr. Labange.
The adjourning member of Nona Kojin, who was a mother of 3 beautiful grown children, Vicky, Olga, and son Gregory has 8 grandchildren. Her and her husband Ken, they were born in China and had to migrate of their Russian descent and migrate to America in the late 40s. But Nona was a true spirited woman, and like all immigrants who come to America, they found good work with their church, which is right in your district, Mitch, right there on Mitchell-Torina, the Holy Virgin Mary Church, the Russian church on Mitchell-Torina. I ask we remember Nona Kojin, a great mother, a great wife, and a great person. May she rest in peace.
Any more on this side? Okay, I'll now go over to Mr. Fuente's side. Any adjourning motions? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.